What's going on, guys? Spencer Claeys here. Right now, it is February, and just 4 short years ago, I quit my job forever and started my home service business. So this story is how I quit my job and made my first $6,000 a month, which I know that's not a lot of money, but for me at the time, I was dead broke. I was making $12 an hour at an ice rink down in Las Vegas. And I just remember coming back in January. I came back at the end of January, and I was still in the Navy Reserve, so I had just gone to Thailand for a couple weeks, actually. But I got back, and I was like, I just worked at the ice rink, and making $12 an hour. And my brain was just like, what the fuck? I'd seen kind of the potential. I was like, holy shit, like people are out here traveling the world, making a lot of money. And I was like, why can't I figure this out? I've been trying to do like the entrepreneurial stuff for probably 2 or 3 years at that point. I tried drop shipping, selling print on demand, selling jewelry, all this sort of stuff, even YouTube at the time. And I just hadn't stuck with anything long enough. But I also like all those things are really hard to get into if you don't have a lot of money, because for me at the time I had just graduated college and I was dead broke. I met my wife and I was just trying to impress her. I was like, I have no money, and it felt like shit driving around this crappy little Toyota Corolla. So I just came to this point in February, just 4 years ago again, where I was like, fuck this, I need to go make money. And so I found some guys who were making money doing gutter cleaning, pressure washing online, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And at the time there wasn't really as much information on YouTube, so I went out and I literally just bought the pressure washer and I started knocking doors. 3 doors in, I landed my first job, and I mean that was an amazing feeling. But I remember that feeling waking up that morning of being terrified of like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna make money today. Going to bed the night before, I was like, holy crap, like I don't have a job. Like what if this doesn't work? My parents are gonna judge me. My friends, my family, they're gonna judge me. I'm broke. I don't have a job. And that is a very scary feeling. And I remember that like viscerally. Like even to this day, it's just like, whoa. Like some days, like you just wake up and you're like, like I don't have a paycheck coming. Like what if I don't make money? It's a crazy thought because now I'm making many times more money than I used to. But it's still just like, I mean, as human beings, we have this need for security. Right? We have this need for comfort, and that's always going to be there. So we're constantly like raising the thermostat of that. Like now it's like, okay, if I'm not making this money per month, or if I'm not making this much money, like I need to be hitting those goals. So, but at the time, I was like, holy shit, if I could just make an extra, $500 a week, I would have been happy. And I still talk to people this day who that's all the money that they need to make. So it's well and good for me and other guys to talk about how to make your first $10,000 a month, how to make your first $20,000 or $30,000 and beyond, which is awesome. But there's also guys out there still too. Maybe some of you guys are watching this who are just like, hey, I don't necessarily care about $10,000, $20,000 per month. I just want to quit my job. I just want to have a little bit more freedom, buy my life back, and then kind of go from there, see what happens. And that is just like such a natural thing as a man. I believe that working for yourself is like a man's like highest calling. I don't think that like working for someone else, at least someone that you don't respect, I think that's another really important thing, because men, we're very hierarchical. If we have a good leader, if we respect the man that we're leading, or that's leading us, and that we're falling behind, I've been in that situation many times, and it's awesome. You can kind of shut your brain off. You can kind of just do what you're told. We did that in the military, so that was kind of cool. But then there was times when you got someone in charge that was just a shithead. Like this guy sucked, and you're just like, fuck this guy, and I want to do my own thing. And so that was kind of me, at least that was kind of my story. So back to when I quit the job. So I quit my job. I mean, it was more like the season was over. It wasn't like, fuck you, I quit. It was more just like, hey, the season's over, like time to go back home. And so I was just like trying to figure out, okay, what do I do next? Went out, bought the pressure washer, started knocking doors. And like I said, I landed my third door, which honestly at the time was super lucky because, as you guys know, knocking doors can be a hard thing. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. But I pitched them. I made my first $120 that day. And then I went out the next day. I started knocking more doors. I landed a $400 job. I landed like a $200 job here and there. Then things started to slow up. And at the time, this is kind of a funny story, COVID had just hit. If you guys remember 2020, that was, around February, around this time, February, March, things were starting to get crazy. I was like, people are getting sick overseas. Like, I don't think it's a big deal. But lo and behold, the whole country shuts down for couple weeks, month, obviously for a couple years, but at the time it was like you can't even go outside, if you guys remember. So that was cool. So I kind of had to put a pin in the business thing until like March. And I remember at that time I was like really down bad. I'd only made like a few, maybe $1,000 or $2 doing my own thing, and I had the taste of freedom. But I was like, shit, now I'm living with my girlfriend, I'm driving a shitty car. And I remember almost giving up. I remember almost like coming to the point where I'm like, I don't know. I was even talking about working for one of my buddy's companies. He's like, hey man, honestly, I can't pay you more than $15 an hour. And at the time, I remember considering that. I remember like, shoot, $15 an hour. But something in my brain, I was like, fuck that. I cannot do that. I need to make this work. And so another strange thing happened. I got a text from someone who had knocked the door of like a month or two before. And they're like, hey, I need to sell my house. And I was like, cool, well, let me pressure wash. I'll clean the whole driveway. And so I went out, I made $300, and that lit the spark again. I was like, holy shit, people still need this. You know, as long as people are living in houses, they're still going to need stuff cleaned. So it doesn't matter if there's a worldwide pandemic. People still need basic services done. Like, people aren't going to stop taking craps in toilets where they need plumbers. People aren't going to stop having roofs to keep their house safe from rain. So these things are not going to stop. So that really like lit the spark back up in me, where I went out and I started knocking doors again. I started running Facebook ads, and this was the spot too where I also like really dived into like the idea of like, okay, door to door kind of sucks. Like, I don't know, to this day I still don't like it. I was like, how can I get jobs without me having to knock doors? And so I really dove into the concept of Facebook ads, and that is what really took off for me. As soon as I figured out how to get an ad at the time I was still doing driveway pressure washing, but then I had that pivot where people were like, hey, do you do roofs? Do you do gutters? And I was like, sure. So I remember, starting to do that. And that was awesome because I was able to make a lot more money than like pressure washing a driveway for $99. So that was cool. And then so once I pivoted to roof and gutters, that's when things kind of just took off. I was running ads for that, the whole $2.99 special. And I was just booking those like all day long. And so that was really how it took off. I remember by April, I literally started, I went out, bought a truck for like $3,500 in cash. It was a little white Chevy Colorado, 2008. It was a great little truck, but unfortunately, 8 months later, it exploded. Not like actually exploded, but like the engine just fucked up. So that truck had a great little run until I got my new truck now, which at the time it was like 2018. So. But anyways, not really important. So at that time, really that was kind of my story, quitting the job and just realizing like, hey man, I'm never going back. And I had some moments where I was like, I really had to look at myself. I'm like, what kind of man am I? Am I going to just, take this $15 per hour job from my friend? Am I going to go back? Am I going to like go back into the military? Am I going to go try and get another job? And I really had to sit with myself and think about what I really want. Do I really want to be free? Do I want to make my own money? And I was like, yeah, that I will do anything. I would rather die than not make money for myself. And I fucking did it. And I hit that first $6,000 a month in April. And then after that, $8,000, $10,000. Now it's like, if you're not making like that $10,000 a month, it's like, what am I doing? So that was kind of my story. So I hope that inspires a few of you guys to just, no matter where you're fucking at in your journey, keep going. Never let yourself down. That's another really important thing that I think a lot of people have. They just kind of hang up their shoes and they're like, I can't really make this work for myself. It's too hard, all that sort of stuff. So whoever you are, you can fucking do this. I was dead broke. I was literally sleeping in my car at times because I was sleeping with my girlfriend. I wasn't paying rent and I was a fucking bum. And so now she stuck with me, obviously. I mean, we have a lot of nicer stuff now. But that was really a hard time, but I fucking got through it because I believed in myself and I never stopped. So hope this helps you guys. I will see you guys in the next video, but obviously you guys have any questions about this. And if you want to be inside any of my communities, I have the Skool down below. Also, my inner circle is a little bit higher level if you're trying to get past 10K per month. The Skool is best if you're just kind of starting, just trying to get to, 5K, 6K, maybe 10K per month. Inner circle is for after that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.